Is there a such thing as being too delusional? That is a question that I am asking myself today as I am about 1 week away from moving abroad. My plan is to move all across the world and just live my dreams because this has been my dream for a very long time. I have been wanting to just step outside of the culture that I have always known and kind of just live life on my accord. And the only reason why I think that I am wondering if I am too ambitious in my desires is because I am a mother and my daughter is young and I have a co parenting relationship. And I just want to talk just for a moment about how different circumstances can be your mentally limiting way of saying how something can or cannot work out for you. I'm grateful. I am grateful to have a co-parent because there are a lot of mothers who are out here and they are doing it solo dolo and they just doing it, right? They don't have the support, and I'm grateful because I do have the support system and that allows me to have time alone and that also allows me to have time, dedicated time to be a mother. And so while I think that is very, very important, I'm so grateful for it. Sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, like it could possibly be a little bit easier if I didn't have to consider anybody else except for myself, right? If it was just me and her, like I could just think about myself and I can just, live life how I want to live life. But there's just this other equation to the dynamic that I have to consider because I actually have to bring her back, right? And so that just has another layer of like things that I have to overcome in order to make this dream a reality. I am not a person who gives up easily, right? Like I am not a person who gives up easily. This has been a goal of mine since, like I said, as long as I can remember. But I started out on my nomadic journey in 2020. And when I said that I was not going to give up, I meant that I was not going to give up. And so, although it has not always looked exactly how I thought it would look, I still am very mindful that this can be a reality, lived uniquely for me, right? And it's going to be unique to me. Like my circumstances are not going to be the same as many of the YouTube people that I look at, right? Like I can get some inspiration and I can get some, tips and suggestions from different people on the internet, but my situation is very unique, right? I know that there are plenty of world schooling moms, and I know that there are plenty of people that's out there doing it, but I just haven't witnessed it yet. And so I have to learn how to create my own lane and I have to believe in myself and what feels like very delusionally to believe that this can be a sustainable life for as long as I want it to be a sustainable life, right? My daughter's father, he was just asking me like, is this a permanent move? And I had to tell him, I'm like, I don't think I ever intend for any move to be permanent. This is just my next step in the journey. Like I live a nomadic life. And at this point, we've been knowing each other for 6-7 years now. Like you should understand that that's who I am. And that's not really going to change because we started out on a nomadic journey together in 2020. So I'm not saying all of those things to him, but just reminding him, that I don't ever consider any move to be permanent. And a lot of people can have, their opinions on the way that I want to live, but really it's my life to live and I can allow things to work out how I did, how I deserve for them to work out. Like I am worthy to live this sort of outside of the box reality. I can withstand it. Like I have the mental capacity to withstand it. I have the spiritual capacity to withstand it. And I just have the emotional capacity to withstand it. Like I've done a lot of work on myself to be able to endure the highs and lows that, I know I will encounter. Like I have been in some really dark times, guys. Like I have had and battled major depressive disorder on top of being homeless, on top of couch surfing, on top of I've never been without food. But I've been in the negative and still I'm fine. I'm doing well for myself now. And so I think that, in my mind and what, sometimes I have to remind myself, which I'm grateful that I'm talking through this right now. I have to remind myself that I feel that I have gone through the thick of it already. Like, I feel that nothing can be, I don't think that I can experience anything worse than the things that I have already experienced. And so I feel that I have the capacity and I have the stamina and I have the resilience, the muscle that has been built already internally to withstand whatever I need to withstand in order to make this dream a reality. And it's happening, right? Like, it's in real time. It's already in motion. It's already something that has not looked exactly how I thought it was going to look, but it is actually still happening, right? Like, if I go all the way back to 2020 up until I got pregnant in 2021, I was traveling. Um, all the way up until probably like 6 months, maybe not 6 months, maybe about 4 months into my pregnancy, and that's when we decided to come back to Atlanta. And we settled then, and really from 2021 all the way up until 2023, I did no traveling. I didn't travel at all. So it hasn't been like a consistent, like, nomadic journey. Between the years of 2021 and 2023, of course, I was learning how to become a mother, and I needed that stability, and I probably needed that stability a little bit more before I actually decided to leave the country, but I didn't. And so I learned my lessons then, and I took whatever I learned then and I put it in my tool belt, and now I have the courage to do it again. And so I just, I want to remind you, like, no, I don't think that there is I'm just going to answer my own question. No, I do not think there is a such thing as being too delusional. I think that there is your belief in yourself, your belief in the unknown, and I also believe that it is just you and your goals. Nobody else has your vision. Nobody else can see what you see. Nobody knows the things that you are going through behind the scenes. Nobody knows. I just think about that all the time, like the internal feeling, right? Like the things that I have felt internally. It's not even just what you see on the outside. Because, baby, listen, I'm gonna look good on the outside. I'm never gonna look like what I'm going through, right? But internally, nobody could ever know and understand what somebody is going through internally, emotionally. You know what I mean? And so I think that when it comes to delusion, it's like this idea that it's just something that is unknown, like the delusionment is like it's something that is unknown to the external world, but it's known to you internally. And so you have to have that level of like belief in yourself in order to kind of move things forward. Because if you don't, like, you're kind of just going to stay in the box. You're going to be living in this constant state of fear, in this constant state of stagnancy. And that's where you don't want to be, right? Like, you want to continue to evolve. You want to continue to expand. You want to continue to give the universe some energy to work with to help you grow. And so I don't believe that there is such thing as being too delusional. I just don't. But I'm a dreamer. You know what I'm saying? So with me being a dreamer, sometimes I'm not as, what do you want to say? With me being a dreamer, sometimes I'm not as practical as some people live their lives, and that's okay, right? Like, that's okay. I don't think that the way that you live your life is the same way that I'm supposed to live my life. I just don't believe in that. I believe that everybody's way of living is everybody's way of living, and people go about things in different ways. When I expand and when I dream big and when I take big leaps of faith, I take leaps and I'm caught. Okay. Like, and I think that one of the biggest things that always, like, one of the biggest things that always just mentally kind of, I guess, nag at me is just finances. Like, that's the only thing. That'd be the only thing where I'd be like, all right, now listen, if I'm gonna step off this cliff, you gotta support me financially. You gotta support me financially. You know, that's the only thing that I be looking at to be like, okay, this is my safety net. And that's for a lot of people, right? That is for a lot of people. For me, you know, where I'm at and where I have evolved into is that even if you have that safety net up under you, you still have to have a plan in action. Like, you still have to have a plan. Like, you know, like there still has to be things working in the background and systems that are working in the background to continue to support you. Like, you can't just move off of um blind. No, that's not the word that I want to say. I can't. You probably can. I can't just move anymore, right, off of savings and think that that is what is going to help me sustain the longevity of whatever it is I desire, because that's not realistic for me. Like, I have to continuously be in motion and continuously giving out the energy and receiving. It has to be a continuous exchange. And you know, the last time when I went to Thailand, like, I went with a lot of savings, and because of just lifestyle creep and, you know, learning trade-offs and not really wanting to adapt to with the trade-offs that I had to make, then those savings was gone. You know what I mean? Like, it was just gone. And I didn't have a plan, right? Like, I didn't have a plan. And so this time around is very different because I have a plan. And the plan is already in motion. I already have systems and things in place. So I can be really delusional, you know, like the thing that I'm with thinking about now mostly has to do with my daughter, me being a mother, and how much capacity I really have to going back and forth, coming to get her, taking her, like me coming to get her, you know, taking her back with me, bringing her back, and then me leaving again because, you know, he doesn't have a passport. And so it's like, I have to and be more flexible, you know, when it comes to, you know, the things that I actually want to do. Like, I just had to have a very open mind when it comes to it. And so, you know, this is me just being fully transparent, you know, as I'm going through the journey, as I am learning how to just lean into faith, trust God. Like, it's not a new thing for me. Like, I'm very spiritual. Like, I've been doing this. Like I said, I step out on faith all the time. And I love doing it. I love doing it because it becomes kind of like a mental game. Like, it becomes a mental game. It becomes like this game of like, all right, like, let's see what happens if I do this. Let's see what happens if I do that. Let's just see. Let's just see. You know, right now I'm applying to a bunch of jobs, like a bunch of international jobs. And I'm just like, okay, let's just see. I might just get an international job, and that would be pretty cool. But again, it still goes back to like just being delusional. I can be delusional. But I'm also I think that I also have practicality, but there's like maybe the delusion outweighs the practicality a little bit. Um, and I think that just depending on the situation, different situations call for a different level of like delusionment. But baby, listen, I got some faith and trust in myself. Okay, I got some faith and trust in myself, and I have faith and trust in the universe and in God. And so that's all I wanted to chat with you all about today. If you resonated with anything that I talked about today, please be sure to like this video. And also, if you resonate with my story or any of my videos, be sure to subscribe because I come back here every single day to chat. Okay, peace and light, beautiful souls.